What if I told you that the way you handle money could impact more than just your bank account, but your eternity? Have you ever wondered what happens after we die? Jesus once told a story that gives us a glimpse into the afterlife and teaches us about the true value of compassion. Let's explore the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Imagine a bustling, ancient city where a wealthy man lives in luxury. He wears the finest purple robes and feasts on sumptuous meals every day. Just outside his gates lies a poor man named Lazarus, covered in sores and longing for even the scraps from the rich man's table. Dogs come and lick his wounds, adding to his misery. Jesus paints this stark contrast to illustrate the vast inequality that can exist in our world. The rich man, though never named, represents those who live for their own pleasure and ignore the suffering around them. Lazarus, whose name means God helps, symbolizes the overlooked and marginalized in society. As the story unfolds, both men die. Lazarus is carried by angels to Abraham's side, a place of comfort and honor in the afterlife. The rich man, however, finds himself in Hades, a place of torment. This sudden reversal of fortunes is a central theme in many of Jesus' teachings. In Luke 16:23-24 we read, "In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away, with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, 'Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire.'" The rich man's plea reveals that he still sees Lazarus as someone beneath him, someone to be sent on errands. Even in death, he hasn't grasped the lesson of compassion and equality. Abraham's response is firm but sorrowful. He explains that a great chasm separates them, and no one can cross from one side to the other. Desperately, the rich man begs Abraham to send Lazarus to warn his 5 brothers, hoping to spare them from the same fate. But Abraham replies, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." When the rich man insists that a message from the dead would be more convincing, Abraham delivers the final poignant line, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead." This parable carries several profound messages. First, it warns against the danger of ignoring the needs of others while indulging in selfish luxury. The rich man's sin wasn't his wealth itself, but his failure to use it to help those in need, like Lazarus at his gate. Secondly, Jesus teaches that our actions in this life have eternal consequences. The parable suggests that there will be a final judgment and that our treatment of others, especially the less fortunate, will play a crucial role in determining our eternal destiny. Thirdly, the story emphasizes the importance of heeding God's word now, rather than waiting for some extraordinary sign. The reference to Moses and the prophets points to the scriptures that were already available, containing God's instructions for righteous living and compassion. Lastly, the parable foreshadows Jesus' own resurrection. The rich man's brothers, like many in Jesus' time, would remain unconvinced even when confronted with the miracle of someone rising from the dead. This story challenges us to examine our own lives. Are we, like the rich man, blind to the suffering around us? Do we use our resources, whether great or small, to help those in need? The parable reminds us that true wealth isn't measured by what we have, but by how we use what we have to benefit others. In our modern world, it's easy to become desensitized to the needs of others. We might not have beggars at our gates, but poverty and suffering exist all around us. This parable calls us to open our eyes, to see the Lazarus in our midst, and to act with compassion. Jesus' teaching here goes beyond a simple moral lesson about being kind to the poor. It's a radical call to rethink our priorities, to live with an eternal perspective, and to recognize the inherent dignity of every human being. It challenges us to consider what will truly matter in the light of eternity. As we reflect on this powerful parable, let's ask ourselves, how can we live today in a way that reflects God's compassion? How can we use our resources, our time, and our talents to make a difference in the lives of others? The story of the rich man and Lazarus reminds us that every day we have the opportunity to choose compassion, to live for something greater than ourselves, and to store up treasures in heaven. Rich or poor, the real question is, what are you building that will last forever? Think about it, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.